Hello everyone, how's it going today? My name's Trappy, and today I'm going to be deck teching or deck profiling my Beledros Witherbloom deck from the set from 2021 Strixhaven. If you don't know what Beledros Witherbloom is in the series, Strixhaven is a community college or some type of college that this is part of his class. He's part of a class, and he's the creator of that class. I don't remember the actual storyline to it because I haven't been in Magic that long. Speaking, though, about this deck, is that this deck, how it got created, was that it was based off of the... So I basically bought one draft booster box of Strixhaven. Just bought one straight out and said, fuck it. Let's get into it, and basically I cracked it open and got this exact card, and a bunch of other cards are either cards I already owned or got somehow. And this is recorded as of 6-27 of 2024, so keep that in mind that this deck list might change in the future, but the link is down in the description if you want to check this deck list out. It is in the link in the description below, so you can go check it out, enjoy. And you can look at the deck, copy it, whatever you want to do. The only thing is you can't edit it. So you would have to copy and keep it. But anyways, let's go on to the lands for this deck. And then we'll get into the actual commander instead. We start off with 15 forest and 14 swamps. The reason why we want less swamps than forest is because it's cheap. It's a little bit easier to do. And on top of that, we're running some swamps and the Outlaws of Thunder Junction. So, saying this specifically, I bought an Outlaws of Thunder Junction booster box, and on top of that, I have a Strixhaven booster box combined with these two. So I took some stuff from Outlaws of Thunder Junction and some from Strixhaven. We kind of made it a mix between the treasure mechanic in Outlaws of Thunder Junction and its plot mechanic in Outlaws of Thunder Junction. I tried to do a commit the crime build in this deck, but I couldn't make it work, and it was way too much, and a little bit annoying as crap. On top of that, we'll get into the final part of the land, and then we'll go on to what we want to do with this deck. Starting off with our other basic lands, we got an Azad Archway. This is a great card because of one reason. Even though it enters battlefield tap and it's a bounce land, it allows us, if we do it with another desert, which we have only 2 extra, we can add 2 mana, but we would have to bounce it back to our hand. And if we do, then we get to survey, which basically means look at the top. You either get to self-mill the top card of your deck, which could be good if you need to dig a little bit deeper into your deck, or if you do not need to. Then we got Blooming March. This one is from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. I just decided to place it in because it's a black and green land, and I am not getting the black and green pay 1 life land. I forget what it's called, but if you know, you know. I don't want to get it because of the price. And this deck is about, as of right now, $148 for it. So it is going up in price steadily, but keep that in mind that the price now, as of right now, is $148.91. $148.91. That is not including quality, what type. That's just including the copies of the cards. Then we got 1 copy of Command Tower. Command Tower being one of the, in my opinion, a great commander card. Just great staple commander card. Add 1 minute. Any color identity. Then our final and other, if I'm correct, conduct pylons, and yes, or 1 more. Conduct pylons basically allows us to surveil, and it allows us to tap to add colorless or tap to add 1 mana of any color. Great card in general. Going on, Evolving Wilds. Don't even explain it, it's just a crack land, as I call it. Exotic Orchard, basically great staple. Then we got Flestering Glitch. This is the thing from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. I was glad I got the foiled version. I did get the non-foiled version, but I wanted the foiled version. But going into it, it enters the battlefield tapped, and then when it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to target opponent. If it was each, it would be kind of fair, but in Commander, this is kind of a fun gimmick. In case somebody attacks you, you could just be like, get fucked, bitch. Or just hit somebody for 1 damage as like you're being salty towards them by just dealing them a little tiny bit of damage, but not much. Then we got a Shrine Terrace, basically Evolving Wilds, just a little bit with the tapping ability. And then a Witherbloom Campus. This is a great one. This one is from Strixhaven. All you have to do is it enters battlefield tapped, and then you can add either black or green, or for 4 and a tap, you can scry it. Now going to the actual playstyle of this deck. So the style of deck we want to do is that the name of this deck, at least, is called The Pest is Coming, or the more R-rated version of the name is I'm gonna pest the fuck out of you. This commander, how it works is it has flying, and it's a 7-drop with flying and it's a 4/4. At the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 black and green pest token. When this creature dies, you gain 1 life. Pay 10 life, untap all lands you control. The nice thing about this is that your commander, how it works, the commander deck, is we want to create these pests. Just to even ramsack people, not even ramsack people, but if we look at this as a 4-player game and we're playing with 4 players, let's say, how many times are we going to activate this? Well, we're going to activate 3 times when this gets played on our turn. We're going to have it activate 3 times before we get to make by the time it comes to our upkeep after a full turn rotation, if we're talking about 4 players in a 4-player commander game, we're going to get 4 by our upkeep. But let's say you just do the math, and it works because since that 10 life, you pay 10 life, we sometimes activate, but mainly so then we can spam our mana, and then be like, okay, I need to use the mana to protect my beledros, so I need to protect something. Okay, I'm going to pay that 10 life, and then untap, and then activate another card. It works great, and it can be activated once each turn, so we could go very spammy with this if we wanted to. But going on to the actual deck, we got 1 copy of Elvish Mystic, a great card to use. Basically, if you're playing green and you want to be ramping, this is a card to play in the deck. Then we got Valini Dean of the Vein. This one is a menace / lifelink, and if a non-token creature opponent would control controls would die, exile instead, and when you do, you may pay 2, and if you do, create a 1/1 black and green pest token. It just creates it. We don't ever want to play the green version of it. It doesn't have what we want in the deck. We basically want to create pest and annoy the flip out of people with the pest. There is no point in playing the green version, and for a black for a 1/1, pretty good with menace and lifelink. I'll take it. Then another great card to power the deck, Deanna Soul Sweeper. I call it Deanna. You could say whatever it is. It has whenever you gain life, each opponent loses life. Since we're going to be creating pest with this and it gains life, all we're doing is basically 1 life gaining. We're taking 1 life each and every time. So there's a little bit of powerhouse with this. And going into this, there is no Solemn Synachrum. I wanted to place it in the deck. I haven't had time to get a thing going on, but a little bit of a kind of difference to it. We're playing Silver Deputy. What this allows us to do is when it enters the battlefield, we search our library for a basic land card or a desk card, reveal it, and put it on the top after we shuffle. It is nice because even though it's a 2-drop, it allows us to find land if we need it, and it's a 2-drop, so it works. And plus, it gets target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Works pretty well, in my opinion, for what we need. Just to even get land on top, it works. We want to ramp out as much as we can. We want to get this guy out before turn 7. If we're playing 1 basic land a turn, it's not good, but if we can get out by turn 7, it is basically... If we can get out before turn 7, it's value at that point. Then we got 1 copy of Blood Researcher. Blood Researcher, whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Blood Researcher. Basically, we're just pumping this dude up. If we have done a Soul Sweeper and Blood Researcher, both of these have a combo, because since whenever you gain a life, each opponent loses a life. Whenever you gain life, +1/+1, you're just boosting this one up with taking life from them. Then going on, we got Coleus Blood Mage. This one when it enters the battlefield, we get to choose 1. Either we can create a 1/1 black and green pest token, draw a card and lose 1 life, or exile target player's graveyard. We can go with whatever, and I haven't played it yet, but just got some of these cards are still brand new, and I haven't been able to play them, but I'll be probably playing them on Spell Table sometime, and maybe I'll get something else into it. Then we got 1 copy of Honor Troll. Honor Troll, whenever it has Vigilance, and whenever we gain life, we would gain +1 of that life. So if we gain 2 life, we would actually gain 3 life, and so long and so forth. Plus, when it gets +2, +1, as long as we have 25 or more life, it's great. It's beautiful. Now another card in the deck that's kind of Elvish Mystic. It's from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. You got Oasis Gardener. This card is simple. When it enters the battlefield, gain 2 life for a 3-drop, and it adds 1 mana of any color. So it's kind of a little bit better, but also worse than Elvish Mystic because this card costs 3 mana. If you look at it, you could just tap to add, and this one for 3, you have to tap and add 1 mana of any color. So it works in the end if you want to count it as it. I count it as a good card. It's a good card because you even gain 2 life, and that works with Deanna's Soul Sweeper and a bunch of other cards. Then we got 1 copy of Outcaster Greenblade. Basically what this does is what Silver Deputy does, but on a better way. So it basically when it enters the battlefield, we search our library for a basic land card or desert card, reveal it, put it into our hands, then shuffle. So it puts it into our hands. Solemn Sacrum would be good in this deck. I just haven't had a placement to place it yet. I'm still working on getting Solemn Sacrum in place and going from this. This card though, and then it gets +1/+1 for each desert we control. So we might well do deserts or whatever we choose. So we can go for that at Archered. Our reach. I don't know how to say it, but do this card and then get more plays out, more cards out. Basically, we want to get rid of our deck. We want to get our deck thinner. Then going on, Patient Neutralist. If you don't know what this card does, is from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. When Patient Neutralist, I don't know how to say the name, enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards. We put a land from the cards milled among them into our hand, and then if we can't, we create a treasure. We just want to mill. We want to mill the 3 cards, so even if we lose the land part, we still get a treasure token, so it's a win-win in the end, even if it's not that good. Then we got a Seymour Witch. It has Menace, Ward, and whenever we cast an instant, and has Magecraft to create a 1/1 black and green pest. So it gives us more ways to create pest, which I love to death. Going on, we got 1 copy of a Demogorgon Titan. This is one of our sack outlets. We got 2 total. If I'm correct, yes, we got 2 total. The Demogorgon Titan basically scares the crap out of people. It will make everyone, the minute I play this card in any commander game that I'm playing with it, because I was playing in a game where I played this card, everyone we got killed immediately. I think it was on turn 4. This one got targeted immediately. There are cards in here that get targeted immediately. This is one of them, because whenever it attacks or block, I have to sacrifice a creature. But the nice thing is, you don't have to play this until you get your beledros out, because if you do, you have a sack outlet, meaning you have a lot of stuff to work with. Going on, then our final and other sack outlet, Novice Deceptor. I don't know how to say the name correctly, but it's a 4-drop with 1 black for a 3/3, and it sacrifices another for 1 colorless. It sacrifices another creature, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, only activated as sorcery. This is good because of one simple reason. Not even the sack outlet part. Deanna does that as well, because if we look at Deanna, sacrifice another creature, it gets +X/+0 until end of turn. The nice thing about that is that Deanna, even though it basically does the same move, we're just giving more ways to sack. Even though I'm not counting Deanna's Soul Sweeper as a sack outlet, like a life drain, I count it as it. It's just a little bit. We use it only when we already have the pest on the field, because we want to just gain life and just start murdering people that way. Then we got 1 copy of Professor Zumacy. I call it Zumacy. I don't know what it's actually called, but it enters the battlefield, we create a more black and green pest. That's it. Then going on, we got a Rictus Robber for 4. We want to use the plot ability on this one. This plot ability is nice. All it does is basically, the plot ability is a great mechanic in Outlaws of Thunder Junction, if you don't know. The simple effect of it is basically, plot basically means you pay the plot cost instead of the actual mana cost, and you can play it on a different turn. So relatively, we could play this on turn, if we're mathing this out correctly, let's say we play a Soul Ring on turn 1 and a black energy, or black mana. We can have, in a sense, on turn 2, we could have this card out when it's meant to be on turn 4 if we're playing, but it doesn't matter really. It matters only about what we get out, and you can do however you want. Then we got 1 copy of Rooftop Assassin, and I forget, but going on, it just creates a 2/2 black and blue zombie rogue token. Then we got 1 copy of Rooftop Assassin, has flash, flying lifelink, and the reason why we want to use this in this deck particularly is because of the pest. The pest, and I'm going to actually show you the token now. This is the pest token. This is what we're revolving our deck around. They're cute. We want to kill them, but it's because if we attack with this guy, all it's going to do is deal damage. Then we'll flash this guy in, making basically attacking with a bunch of creature attacking. Let's say we attack we have 8 pests on the board, and we attack 2 with each one, and they have to block with 2 creatures. Guess what happens? They block with 2 creatures. Oh, well, we play this in. We just killed 4 creatures. We just killed 6 creatures. You basically get to kill as many creatures as you like. Going on, we got 1 copy of Railway Brawler. This card is basically a 4-drop, reach and trample, and whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter, and as a plus, we usually want to use this with plot so that we can protect ourselves and go from there. Excuse me. Then we got 1 copy, I need to stop saying it, Witherbloom Page Mage. I love the artwork on this card, but basically it just is a Magecraft card with copy instants or sorcery. Whenever we cast one, we gain a life. Gaining a life, giving us life gain, and then using it for the -10. Then we got Spinewood Armadillo. We like to use it mainly for the discard ability, which is basically search your library for a basic land card or desert card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle and gain 3 life. So it gives us 3 life as well. Then we got the final creature in our deck, the Bookworm. Bookworm. It has trample, is for an 8-drop, trample, and when it enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life and draw a card. So nice. But if we put Bookworm, if we tap for 2 colorless and a green, we get to put it from our graveyard onto the 3rd card from the top of our into our library, 3rd from the top. So it's nice because we can go from there, work it, and go from there. But going on to the actual rest of the deck, with being the rest of it being the spell such as instants and sorcery. Starting off with for our instance, Corrupted Conviction. Great card in this deck because it is a sack outlet to kill our creatures, which gives us Pest. Oh, why do we want this card? Well, Corrupted Conviction, if you don't know, your effect is simple. For 1 black, sacrifice another creature in addition to the cost. You might think that's terrible, but I think it's pretty good because you can draw 2 cards off of it, so it's a pot of greed from Yu-Gi-Oh! But the nice thing is you sacrifice a creature, okay, we sacrifice our pest. We gain a life off of it. It's not a loss in my book. Then 1 copy of Snakeskin Veil. It just puts a +1/+1 counter on target creature, and it gains hexproof until any turn, and it does it for a green. Going on, then we got Village Right. I think that's how you say it correctly. But basically, it's this literal card, just on a different, it's the exact effect, just on a different card. Then we got Doomblade. Doomblade, and yes, we're playing with the Strixhaven archive version. I do not care what version I got these. I'm using whatever ones I got, and I do not care. They look cool in my opinion, so I'm going to use them. Doomblade just destroys target non-black creature. Simply enough for 2-drop. For a 2-drop again, we got an Eliminate, which basically destroys target creature or planeswalker with mana value 3 or less. This is just a perfect card to get rid of those nasty planeswalkers or get rid of certain stuff. This one is a funny one. So Tempest is a great card because you sacrifice a dish. In addition, you sacrifice creature, and then you create X, which is the X is the sacrifice creature power. So let's say we kill beledros. Even if we kill him, we're getting out. Let's say we put him in the graveyard. Let's say we kill him, put him back in the command zone. So now he's a 9-drop. Keep this in mind. If we kill him and he's a 4/4, he automatically gets. We already automatically get 4 passed off of that. And then we can bring him back out for 9 and keep on going. Then we got we got one more instant, but this Coruscant Grip, basically all it does is it has a split second ability. Basically, as long as this spell is on the stack, players can't activate spells or activate abilities that aren't mana abilities, and it destroys target artifact or enchantment. So it's basically like a stack ender. Then the final card in the deck to round it off, a draw card, Crushing Disappointment for 4 mana total. Each player loses 2 life. We draw 2 cards. If you're playing let's say a 4-person game of Commander, you're taking at least 6 life from this. You're at least guaranteeing taking 2 from a game of Commander. You could take up to 6 life with this or more, and it could kill somebody in a game if you play it right. Then going on to the sorceries, we got 1 copy Adventurous Impulse. This just allows us to look at the top 3 cards of our library, reveal a creature or land card from among them, put it into our hand, and the rest on the bottom of the deck in any order. Just basic land grabbing. The rest just gives us target opponent reveals their hand, non-creature card from their hand, that player just discards it. Then this is a great card in a black deck. The Spree card in Assistable Arvis, I think that's how you say. But basically, Spree is just you pay the mana cost up here, and then whatever you want to do, you have to pay the extra amount. So you can pay for both or just one. So if I want to pay for the target player draws 3 cards and they lose 3 life, I'll have to pay 3 black. But if I wanted to do the search your library for a card, then shuffle it, then put it on top, this would have to be a 2. So it just works like that. And if you want, you could do all of it for basically 3 black and 2 colorless to do everything. Another great card, Pest Infestation. This card allows us, when it is activated, it allows us to destroy up to X target artifacts and or enchantments, create twice X black and green pest tokens. It is just great because we could destroy up to X target artifacts and or enchantments, create X, which means we could kill our opponent's shit. Then we got 1 copy of Blinding Negotiation. Target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose an online card from it. If you do, discard it. Otherwise, they may put it up exile. They may put a face-up exile card into their graveyard. So it works in the end. Dance of the Tumbleweed. Great card. Search your library for basic land or desert card. That's what we usually use for. We don't usually use the second ability because there's no point to use it. But if we do, there's always... You can do it for 5 total. 5 total. Or actually 6 total mana, but it's up to you. Then we got 1 copy of Deadly Brew. This one just sacrifices another creature or planeswalker. And if sacrificed this way, you may return another permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Great card, just powerhouse. And we have to each player sacrifices, so we have to force them. And they're not going to like it, but it's going to be fun that way. Because we are just like, deal with it. Either you die or you give me cards. Or we go from there. Essence Infusion, basically the next card up. For a 2-drop, it puts a 1/1 counter on target creature, gains lifelink until end of turn. If we want to be really stupid, put it on a pest and call it a day. Makes it a 2/2 with lifelink until end of turn. And if it dies, well, who cares? Then we got a 1 copy of Hunt's First Specimens. This one just creates a black and green pest token. And then we have the Learn ability, which this is on a couple of cards, mainly on the sorcery lineup. There wasn't really any to explain on the instance, but basically what it does is if we were playing with the lesson abilities, which is banned in Commander. So lesson is basically, you may reveal a lesson card you own from outside the game and put it into your hand and or discard a card and draw a card. That's second ability we use, so we use the discard a card, draw a card. We cannot use the Learn ability on the first part of it because it does not work. Then we got one copy of Regrowth. Just a great card in general to return target card from your graveyard to your hand. So if you need a card specifically, it works in that way. Then we got one copy of Tumbleweed Rising. I've had this in plot a lot, where if I'm playing and I need something badly, I'll plot it very early in game and just use it in the future. It creates XX green elemental creature token, where X is the greatest power from among creatures you control, so we can get very high up. So if we get a Demogorgon Titan, we can have 11-10 Demogorgon Titan. Then we got one copy of Containment Breach. This is the lesson card. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. If its mana value is 2 or less, we get to create a pest token. And if it's not, well, it's just a destroy target artifact, so we can kill Soul Ring, a bunch of other cards. One copy of Cultivate. Basically, Cultivate is a great card. I love this artwork. It just search for library for up to 2 basic land cards. Reveal those. Put one of them into your hand, onto the battlefield tapped, and then one into the hand. Then another one like Cultivate. Field Trip. Search your library for a basic forest card. Put it on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. And then we have the Learn ability as well, which we do the discard effect. Then we got the other card that's like Cultivate, Condamus Reach. Great card. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Reveal one of those. Put one onto the battlefield tapped and one into your hand. Then shuffle. Literally, they copy down the effect to make it just a different one. And it's the same. It's just a different name. So it works in the end for us, for Commander players. But Pest Summoning is next up. It's a lesson card, but we don't worry about the lesson part. For either a black or 2 blacks or 2 greens or black and green, whatever you want to do. And for one, we can create 2 black and green pest tokens. So it gives us that. And this is my favorite, in the deck-wise, favorite description of card. Step 1, put pest in mud. And step 2, wait. It's funny as fuck, and I love it. Then going in, calling Ritual. Destroy target non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. And then we add black or green mana for each permanent destroy this way. It is great because we can mana. So for 4 total mana, we could get out 20 mana because each non-land permanent. So that includes creatures, artifacts, instants, sorceries, enchantments, basically all the stuff that pisses us off. We could just nuke the board right then and there. Then another card like Kodama's reaching up it, but a little bit cracked. For 4 mana total, Map the Frontier. This card is not even that expensive. Let me just check. It is only, as of right now, still with the price, 6 cents out from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. We search our library for up to 2 basic land cards and or desert cards, put them onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle. I'm still trying to figure out on the legality side of it. What I'm meaning on the legality side is that when it says and or, does it mean we can grab 2 deserts and 2 basics? Or can we just grab one of each? Or how the mathing works on that. Then we got one copy of Natural Order. This card, it spikes the price of a deck a lot. So we just sacrifice a green creature, i.e. the pest is green and black, so we can sacrifice those. And search your library for a green creature card and put it on the battlefield tap. On top of that, it doesn't cost mana to cast it. So it's fucking busted in that sense because you can kill the pest. Let's say you activate this card, you can kill the pest to bring out a Demogorgon Titan or any other card in the deck. I'm just knowing Demogorgon Titan is just cracked in this deck for it. Then 1 copy of Primal Command. Just basically, we use this if we need to. I like it for its search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. Target player shuffles library, shuffles their graveyard into their library, or the other 2 effects. I'm not going to mention it because I'm almost dead. Then our last sorcery in the deck is Leyline Incubation. Basically, create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token. This card might be taken out of the deck. This would probably be one of the cuts I would do to get Solemn Simulacrum in here, but it has come up maybe a little bit, but not much. And then put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of lands you control. So if you have a lot, you can get that fractal out and basically make it a game ender. If you have enough, which it's not guaranteed, but you can go from there. I forgot to do this. I was stupid. My mistake. But going on to the artifacts now, we got 1, and we're going to go through these a little bit quicker. 1 copy of Lava Spire Boots. Basically, equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has haste and ward, so it's a great card. I want to put in Swiftfoot Boots as well, so I might get that in. 1 copy of Soul Ring. Commander staple in every single deck is going to be in 99% of my deck. If I don't, it's usually enough mana ramp to crack it out. Then we got 1 copy of Wafer Bauble. This card, just another cracked out basic land card. Then we got 1 copy as a Wizard Rocket. This kind of works in a different way. So Wizard Rocket enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap X amount of mana and tap it to sacrifice and add an X combination of any colors to it. So the nice thing about this is it allows us to basically crack it, and we get to draw a card off of it, even if we just tap it for the same amount of mana and same color. Doesn't matter, we get a card off of it for free for a 1-drop, and it doesn't do anything else. And if we need to get a separate color, let's say we have 7 green mana, we can get the black off of it and say, 6 black mana, or we need just 1 black mana and the rest could be green. We get to draw a card as well. Then we got Zephyra Boots. Equipped creature has flying, and whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card, then discard a card. And then it equips for 2. Then we got 1 copy of Gulpan. Gulpan, great card. It just is an equipped creature. We got literally 3 equips right now. When it enters the battlefield, we create a treasure token, and then it gets +1/+1. Just give me a +1/+1. This is another card I got in the deck, and I was like, this makes too much sense to not place in the deck. Lotus Blossom. If you know what Black Lotus is, this is a worse version. This is a retrain, I think, of it. I don't know what the actual term is. But Lotus Blossom, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a petal counter on Lotus Blossom. And then you can tap it to sacrifice and add X mana, where X is the number of petal counters you control. So it works in the end for what we need to do, because we can just put it on turn. Let's say we put it on turn 1 or 2. Let's say we put it on turn 2, let's just say. We can get a lot of counters. Even if we need to, we can play a lot in the future. And even if we don't play, we can just keep it on the field and just gain petal counters. Then 1 copy of Star Compass. This one just adds a mana pool of any 1 mana of any color that a basic land you control could produce. It just gives us extra. It's a mana rock, so we're not going to really worry about it. Then 1 copy of Thought Vessel to give us no maximum hand size. I did have at one point the Reliquancy Tower in the deck, but I was like, Thought Vessel ain't really necessary. If we're playing Thought Vessel or Reliquancy Tower, I might as well either go with one or none. So I went with Thought Vessel on it. Then we got the final card in the deck, the last Lotus card, Gilded Lotus. For 5, it adds 3 mana of any color, and it's a Black Lotus basically, but without the sacrifice cost. But it still adds 3 mana of any color. Then the final 2 cards in our deck is our enchantments. These 2 cards basically make a lot of sense if you get it, but 1 copy of Bright Mound. Bright Mound, if you don't know what this does, attacking pests you control get +1/+1, +1/+0, and have menace. So it gives the pest +1/+0. But if we don't want to do this, is more of spamming the pest and attacking with the pest. Let's say we don't want to do that. Okay, it has a protection effect as well. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, create a black 1/1 pest. So in case, let's say beledros dies, oh, well, we get a token in its place, and we could just keep on going. It is lovely. Then the final card in the deck is Wound Reflection. This card, I have played against a life gain deck in one of my games this past weekend. I played this card on turn, I think, 6. I made the dude who was playing life gain lose 40 life, and that's not even a joke. I made him lose 40 life, and it was funny as fuck. How this card works is, at the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life they lost this turn. So let's say somehow each opponent lost, let's say, 4 life each. They would each lose 8 life. So if it's one player, let's say one player loses 2 life, they would lose an extra 2 life. It is not just, it's any amount of life. They lost that turn, they lose that amount of life double. This card has gotten killed on sight in this. I played against a CEDH player and they immediately killed it. It's funny as fuck because when you do it, it gets them scared and they play very hard. This card I haven't played yet, but I'm excited to play it. But that will be it for this deck tech of Beledros Witherbloom. This deck I've been enjoying a lot lately, including enjoying the Zafia. Please go watch that deck tech, and the link will be in that description of that video for that deck tech. But anyways, Beledros Witherbloom, great card. I love the effect that it's just not even you having to use Beledros. It's just on the field, and it does its work. But anyways, that was the deck tech for Beledros Witherbloom from the Strixhaven set. So anyways, my name's Trappy, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.